as Minister Cleary will be aware, representing a rural constituency, and as I'm sure Ministers Hayden, Hackett and McConalogue, and indeed Deputy Ministers Niall Collins and Simon Harris, who also, I suppose, well, Niall Collins certainly represents a rural constituency, and I suppose Wicklow is arguably a rural constituency. They will be aware that there's a shortage of vets in Ireland in large animal practices. As vets who practice in large animal practice are retiring, there's a shortage of vets to replace them, and that is, of course, a huge problem, particularly given the fact that agriculture is still the biggest industry that we have in rural Ireland. And of course, vets who practice in large animals aren't confined to agriculture. There's also the equine industry, for which vets who practice in large animal practices are also essential. Notwithstanding that, there are a number of students who want to study veterinary. 581 students, I understand, had veterinary medicine as their first choice in the CAO in 2022. And there are only 85 places, not alone in this state, but on this island, and that's the Veterinary College in UCD, which is obviously an excellent college, and nobody's casting any doubt or aspersions on that, but its sheer lack of numbers, 85, and of those students, a very large proportion of them graduates tend, for whatever reason, tend to go into research, into working in veterinary hospitals, into research and into small animal practices. And that's absolutely their right, and nobody's suggesting otherwise. But that does still leave a shortage of vets in large animal practices. As I said, there are 85 veterinary students taken in every year in UCD, but there are more students than that, than 85 now, albeit in 1 year. There are more studying in Hungary and Poland combined, with 40 Irish students studying veterinary and 70 in Poland. So for those reasons, I think it's clear that we need to establish a new veterinary college. I believe the steps are underway, but I would make the point that when Limerick University founded its graduate medical school, they not alone added a new school of medicine, but they also added a new way of teaching it, in that students, instead of getting their practical experience in the hospitals, which they had previously done in the existing medical schools, they were also getting practical experience in general practices around the country. And that meant, as a result, that general practice was perhaps more open to them. The option was more in their mind. They were more willing to consider it than they might have been had they never had any experience in a general practice. And I think that that experience of doing that is something that should be looked at with regard to a new veterinary school, that we have a veterinary school where students don't just do their practical in a veterinary hospital like the one that's in Belfield, but do their practical experience in large animal practices, the length and breadth of not just this state but this island.
Thank you, Laskin Curler, and I thank the Deputy for raising the matter, which I'm taking on behalf of Minister McConalogue, who's speaking at an event in the Midlands this evening. I have more than a passing interest in this area as the brother of a vet who shared a house with him when he was in UCD. Last year, Deputy, the Higher Education Authority issued a request for expressions of interest for higher education institutions who are interested in building capacity in veterinary medicine, amongst other disciplines. I understand that some institutions were subsequently asked to submit more detailed proposals for further consideration. The Higher Education Authority, in response to that, announced the appointment of an expert advisory panel to review opportunities for new programmes in areas including veterinary medicine. Minister Harris indicated in the Dáil last week that he expects to have those recommendations for consideration by him next month. Minister McConalogue has indicated that he is very pleased to see this initiative progress and develop. The Government greatly appreciates the very valuable work that veterinary practitioners undertake across our agricultural sectors, which are primarily livestock-based, but also in supporting the health and welfare of our companion animals, and indeed through their often unseen and unappreciated work in the food safety area. Over recent years, as the Deputy has indicated, the demand for the services of veterinary practitioners across our society have been increasing, and most especially in the companion animal area. This is a trend that is also seen right across Europe. As the Deputy has acknowledged, the number of Irish graduates from the excellent UCD School of Veterinary Medicine has not been able to expand to match this increased demand in Ireland. Whilst we've always welcomed graduates from other countries coming to work in Ireland, recent data from the Veterinary Council of Ireland, the VCI, which regulates the profession in Ireland, shows a significant and increasing number of non-Irish educated graduates registering to practice in Ireland. The VCI has reported that the numbers of veterinary practitioners on the veterinary register is currently at an all-time high, in excess of 3,300. Notwithstanding this, I agree with the Deputy, and the Government is aware that there continues to be a significant number of vacant positions advertised on a regular basis, especially across the mixed farm animal and companion animal sectors of the profession. We are particularly aware of concerns being raised about the availability of veterinary practitioners to provide services to the farming sectors across the country and difficulties in filling of positions in certain areas. This is a matter that Minister McConalogue is keeping under review. Many of the non-Irish educated graduates being registered by the VCI are Irish citizens who have travelled to veterinary schools in different parts of Europe, including those referred to by Deputy McNamara, and who return after graduating. This is reflective of the restricted availability of veterinary education opportunities in Ireland, and where students who do not get a position at home must travel abroad to pursue their goal. While I cannot preempt the evaluation process currently ongoing, the Government does see significant potential benefit if additional student places could be provided in Ireland. Minister McConalogue and Minister Collins, who is here with me, and the Government would welcome such an outcome. We are a very well-developed country with a strong education system. If for any reason a student wishes to study abroad, then that is great. But we must be able to ensure that there are enough places for people to study in Ireland, especially for an industry as critical as veterinary. This would provide the opportunity for greater self-sufficiency with regard to the availability of veterinary practitioners in Ireland, and will provide opportunities for Irish students to pursue their career choices at home. And I do know, Deputy, a number of education institutions have submitted interest in hosting a new veterinary course, and that will be a matter of the review which will be published next month.
Thank you very much. I suppose, Minister, if I could focus in on one sentence of your response, and that was, over recent years the demand for the services of veterinary practitioners across our society has been increasing, and most especially in the companion animal area. And that is undoubtedly true, but I suppose there hasn't been any reduction in the demand for vets in large animal practices, as you're undoubtedly aware, given recent controversy. The National Herd is the same size. It's no bigger now, but it's still the same size as it was 50 years ago. So there's still the same demand for veterinary practices to service agriculture, and I suppose but the horse sport industry, the horse racing industry are developing, and it is hoped to develop them further. So there's a particular demand for vets in that area too. So we do need to make sure that there are vets coming out of our veterinary colleges and veterinary graduates coming back from Irish citizens coming back from abroad, and indeed foreign vets, or vets who are not Irish citizens and who qualified abroad who are coming here. But, you know, we can't, I suppose we have a tendency in medicine to rely on foreign graduates. It would be a pity if we're going to have to rely on foreign graduates exclusively. They're excellent vets, I'm not casting any aspersions on them, but we do need to make sure that we're producing enough. And we do need to make sure that we're producing vets that want to go into large animal practices as opposed to go into research, and that's hugely valuable. Companion, small animal practices, again, very valuable contribution to society and animal welfare, but we do have an industry need for large animal vets, and that's why I would ask that the UL model be looked at, because it was specifically geared towards ensuring that medical students had an exposure to general practice. And I think whatever college is awarded the veterinary school, and obviously I hope it's UL because it's the one closest to me, but whatever one is, that they look at UL's experience in developing the medical school, because it has helped to get medical graduates into general practice. The other thing about UL is that it's also a graduate school. I don't know, I know it costs a lot to educate vets. I don't know if the Minister or if the Exchequer is willing to fund the cost of the contribution it would take because obviously if it's a graduate school, we're not going to be able to compete with graduate fees in Poland or the Czech Republic, etc.
No, thank you, Deputy, and I absolutely agree with the need for the provision of vets for large animal practice as well. That was acknowledged in the speech. Our agricultural industry is still absolutely crucial to our entire island, and it's important that we have the vets to service that, as well as to the so-called companion animals piece as well. But also, from my department's point of view, the research side is equally as important. As I said, the matter is being reviewed by the HEA. Minister Harris will have that review by March, and certainly I know from speaking to Minister McConalogue and to Minister Collins, we are all anxious to see this pursue as quickly as possible.